Hi,
Hi.
that works better.
Great.
So this is our fourth time we've talked, I think.
Yes, maybe more. I think it's like our fifth time, I think.
So I was listening to your album, The Fire,
What
and
do you think?
well, I really like it. And I wanted to maybe if you not are cool with it, maybe we could talk about each of the songs.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So there's some songs I have as favorites, but we'll just go through it in a sequential order.
Great.
So the first track on The Fire, which is your newest album for 2019, right?
Yes.
Is This Love.
Yeah.
And it does have that electronic, like EDM, like reference. It feels like it's that you're pulling from there. Is that like what you were going for?
Yeah. And that's definitely one of my favorite tracks of the album as well. I feel like it has the perfect energy and the perfect music direction where I'm shifting to right now. And the track in itself is very free, is very positive, it's very energizing. And I tried my best to blend the EDM sounds with songwriting style, like I mentioned in our previous interview. Yeah.
Yeah, it has a really up tempo, really positive feel, and it's got that kind of light from the energy of EDM, which is kind of very energizing in that kind of scene anyway. It,
Yeah.
yeah, so it just kind of feels like it feels like a really good fun song. I like the way it grooves.
Awesome.
So then Smoke Signals, that's a pretty cool track. It's interesting. Some of the dynamics there. Maybe you could go into how you recorded it.
Yeah. So obviously the main theme of the Fire album is the fire. So every song has something um uh getting that idea back. So, for example, this love mentions the fire of the love in a relationship, and smoke signals. Obviously, goes back to smoke, so fire. And what I tried to do with the smoke signals track is create a track that was slightly different from love songs in general or this love, and really leave it to um, how can I explain? Almost like when instead of being the active party into taking action in a relationship, you step back and you react and you just like let it come to you. So that was my intention for smoke signals. So basically, looking out for my smoke signals. Here is, what I'm here's the seeds that I'm planting, and when you see them, you will find me. So you will find me based on my energy, and you are the one taking action to find me, if that makes sense. So that was the sense of the song.
So is the smoke signals like you're being direct with somebody, or being more indirect because it's like smoke? So I was trying to yeah.
Exactly. Being more indirect and just um, letting myself be found this time by this person instead of finding them.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so you kind of letting them like search for you.
Exactly. So just imagine this is, the picture I had when I created this song. Just imagine being on a beach and you see some smoke signals. So you look in that direction and you go check it out. You're like, "What is that? Let me go." Because you see the smoke signals, so you may not see what's going on, but you see the smoke, so you walk
Yeah.
toward it. So that was the idea.
Yeah, well, sometimes smoke signals are kind of like you want to be rescued. Were you thinking of that as part of the concept of the song, that you want that kind of idea that somebody's going to get rescued, that you're going to get rescued because you're putting out the smoke signal, or is it something?
Yeah, I mean, most of all, uh, it's more of an idea of wanting to be seen, or not wanting to be seen, but waiting to be seen.
Okay.
But also, like you said, the beauty of songs is that everyone can interpret them differently. So for someone else, it may be hurry up because I need you to rescue me, or hurry up because I need you to find me. So yeah, that's the general idea.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
always interpret, like, the fans can like hear something and they might interpret it different than what you originally intended. But
Yeah.
so the song "I'm Better," that's interesting. So maybe you can talk about like where you're coming from in that song and what you're trying to convey.
So that song is about anxiety. So like the lyrics say, anxiety, you thought I was clever, but I'm better. So it's about being better than anxiety, being better than yourself, so it has like a duality in it, because I'm better in terms of I'm doing better, and I'm better in terms of I am better than this and better than that, and nothing can stop me. So it has, both meanings into it. And This song is like, it's much like, it's one of the strongest songs, I would say, in terms of like beats and energy, and one of the most aggressive, if we want to use this word,
Yeah,
because it's very much about pushing through, and just pushing through and feeling unstoppable. I'm better than my anxiety, and that makes me better in terms of who I am. It makes me better than everything that hurt me, that can't hurt me anymore. So yeah, that was the sense of the song.
that's cool because I think a lot of people, have go through anxiety. I see like a lot of young people in different situations. People are realizing that they have anxiety and they find different
Yeah.
ways
And
to
the
deal
thing is,
with it.
it's a real issue, because everybody has some anxiety to some degree, but for some people, it's something that tends to stop them. Whether they're musicians, whether they're CEOs of companies, doesn't matter what field you're in, but that is something that tends to put brakes into what you're trying to do. So it is a real enemy. So that's why I think it was important in the song to just take position and just separate anxiety from who you are, and say, I'm better than that, because that's not
Yeah,
who I am.
yeah. And anxiety sometimes it can prevent you from making a decision because you get so caught up in what decision you should make.
Yeah, it puts brakes in your artistry or work in so many different ways. So
Yeah,
that's why I put so much energy in this song to really like um, to really describe anxiety almost as a rival, almost as if we were in the ring, in a boxing ring, and I'm fighting against it.
yeah. It has that kind of rival feel, like you
Yeah,
fight in the ring, like a boxer.
yeah, especially at the end when the beat drops and it's like the whole vocal part.
But the next song, "Covered in Sin," because I'm a big like synth guy, and I like the kind of dark wave kind of edge on the "Covered in Sin" song. I thought it had this kind of grit to it that appealed to me. I really liked the direction musically you went with that song.
Yeah, so both Covered in Sin and Mind Games are slightly different from the other tracks of the album, and they're more of an alternative R&B sound. That's how I would define it.
Yeah,
And they are definitely a bit darker, a bit more sensual, a bit more slow, and just darker in terms of both notes and just ways of singing and just instruments used. So for those two tracks, especially Covered in Sin. So if you want to start with Covered in Sin, that track is so special to me because it's I don't know, it's just something that I just felt like in my gut, if you know what I mean.
mm-hmm.
And just I just put it there. So that's the sense of that song. It's just the most I guess deep and personal
Mm-hmm.
energy that a person can have.
Yeah. I felt like you were getting really, I don't know, you're revealing as a songwriter like a darker place, which is cool. When you're a writer and you actually are willing to go in a direction that's a little like risque, or it's like deeper or darker,
Yeah.
and it kind of shows like, oh wow, that's interesting. And then I like it when in electronic music, sometimes EDM is really big, but when you actually slow the beat down, there's a lot of cool things you can do at the slower BPMs. And
Yeah.
yeah, I can hear a lot of the interesting things you're doing there. And as a keyboardist, I really was very. I find myself listening to that song a lot. I've been putting that on repeat.
Thank you. I, that's the best compliment, for me to know that someone is putting my songs on repeat. That's great. That's all I want.
Yeah, I really like the way it's constructed. I like the feel because I'm into this like synth wave, dark wave kind of indie thing, and I can hear the kind of neo soul kind of more really interesting because it's a song structure. Because EDM is cool and it's got a beat, but there's something about it sometimes that you can't go to the kind of place you're going in this song because it's not really built for songs. But this groove has that kind of feel, like a singer-songwriter feel, which I really like.
Nice, thank you.
And then I think, Medicated I like a lot too. That's like the second one I was listening to a lot.
Okay.
I like the feel of that song. So maybe you can talk about like how you're expressing that concept.
So Medicated, that song is it was really fun, first of all, to build all the melody lines and stuff, because the beat is very fun. So to just build everything else on top of that beat was I had so many ideas in terms of like melodies and everything. So it was a real challenge to put that song together because I had like an overload of ideas almost. But I think what I like better about that song is just the directness, if that is even a word, because it starts very chill, very I'm taking shots, it's sips on sips, and you're just kind of like you just picture me, I don't know, sitting down and just flossing. But then as you go on in the song, it gets more and more real and just I guess like comes from deep within when we go from the beginning of it that is very light to numb the pain,
Yeah, so you
like,
get a little darker here too, but it's got this kind of, it doesn't feel as dark as like Covered in Sin, but it's actually, if you listen to the lyrics, it actually has a little bit of that kind of darkness in it that way. So that's kind of interesting. I like when people use that kind of dichotomy where you might have something that sounds very dynamic and exciting and really kind of bumping, with a really interesting beat. But then when you put some lyrics to have a little darkness in it or a little deeper, then it becomes very interesting. I like that kind of dynamic.
Yeah, and also in this track especially, I tried to combine the lightness of the idea with the darkness of both some of the instruments that were used and also the real meaning behind that song, which is keep me medicated, okay, because it's cool, but also because I need to numb the pain. So it's like two sides of one coin, basically.
Yeah, yin and yang, and like dark and light, and like it's kind of got that duality. Anytime, it's always interesting as a writer when you introduce like duality and different concepts like within the same song, the kind of dark and the light kind of ideas.
Yeah, which you can kind of also hear in Mind Games.
Yeah, I was gonna go to that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because Mind Games, that first of all is a collaboration with my dear friend Cody Verbiage. He is one of the two rappers on my first single Tonight, that I did in collaboration with him, Cody Verbiage, and Ty Alexander. And it was so great to get to work on another song with Cody. And this is actually the first song that we wrote for this album, for The Fire. That the whole project started with Mind Games. So yeah, that track really has an important meaning to me, and it's very much about the current dating scene, I guess, or like the relationships between people in general, which unfortunately are mostly based on mind games now. So it's all about being like, I've seen this pattern of behavior before and I'm not going to fall for it again, and seeing and hearing like two different perspectives on the situation. So we have me on one side saying that you think I'm naive, you think I don't see what's going on, I see what's going on, I'm not gonna be here for it. And then having Cody playing the opposite party with his point of view, which is lack of effort doesn't mean effortless. I'm trying to keep it casual, you
Mm.
know, like that's all it is. So
Yeah,
that's, you know,
yeah, two
that's what's
different
going on in
perspectives.
today's dating scene.
Yeah, so you have a male and a female perspective kind of colliding in the same song.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. So when you developed this song, how much did Cody have to do with the structure, or did you already have most of the structure and he came in with his lines?
Well, we actually sat down together that day. I remember it was in May. I want to say yes, it was in May. I just came back from a trip to the Bahamas, and I was like already gathering ideas for the album. And then my producer and composer friend Nicholas Babian, which created the beat of Mind Games with us, you know, he it was basically a collaboration between me, Cody, and Nicholas Babian, and we all sat down. And first, Cody and I figured out the structure and the sense of the song and how to really work on the song being about a relationship that, you know, wants to be kept casual, but yeah, no, and, you know, all that jazz. And
Yeah,
then once we started putting it together, and went through like three different titles, because the very first time we started putting down ideas, we thought we would call it casual, honestly, which is something that Cody says a lot in the song. And then once everything started taking its form, Nick added some instruments and adjusted the structure based on the length of what I was singing and what Cody was singing. So yeah, it was you know,
well,
collab.
like it was a really mutual collaborative effort. Because sometimes you have songs and then people come in, and it's already, you know, a lot of times the other singer comes in, it's already structured. But it's cool that you actually had a really true
Yeah, for this,
collaboration.
I wanted to like sit down with Cody and start writing it with him so that we would decide together where things go, as opposed to being like, hey, I wrote my verse, are you done with yours, send it
Yeah,
to me,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I think that's really good when you collab like that because it feels like a band. Like I play with a lot of like rock bands and stuff, and when
Yeah,
you actually, you know, if you have a guy that just writes the demo and everything's already written out, you know, it's not as fun sometimes as when you actually have
yeah,
a
because then the
true
featured
collaboration.
person doesn't, like, you know, it's like, okay, cool, so you wrote your part, I have to come in with mine, but like, you know, it's already like they have to fit it somewhere. Whereas I tried not to make it a collaboration featuring Cody as a feature, but like, I mean, yeah, but like I tried to make it a collaboration where it was our song.
Yeah, it's like a dual like, you know, it's like, you know, Lennon McCartney kind of thing where there's a
Yeah.
they're totally like putting it together, you know, and it's not in isolation, it's actually together. And that's kind of
Yep.
sometimes today it's hard to do because a lot of people already have things already set. Um, but you know, you can do what you want, and so when you put your mind to it that you want to have that kind of collaboration, you can make it happen. So that's cool.
Yeah.
So I see you have a couple of songs featuring andros.
Yes.
So, so can you talk about the how you collaborated on these?
So, Andros is a very good, very talented beat maker, and well, although he's not, his voice is not in the songs because he is not a vocalist. He asked me to include his name as, you know, like many artists do,
Yeah,
title of the song, and I was happy to do that. Basically, this is a very very interesting story because 4 years ago now, he wrote to me because he wanted to collaborate with me. He wanted to show me his work. And I did not see his message until like 3 years later,
oh
or like
wow,
3 years and a half later. And then I saw his message because I'm, you know, as you can imagine, I'm pretty like, you know, my email and everything is pretty jammed. And then I was like, hi, I looked at your stuff and I really like it. I would like to collaborate with you on some tracks for my new album that's gonna be coming up next year. This was this summer in July. So yeah, so that's how we got to collaborate on these tracks. And you know, it was great because he was obviously ecstatic because he did not you know, expect me to answer after 3 years.
yeah. So it
um
was probably a big shock. 3 years later, he suddenly you respond. Probably
yeah, he was
came out
like,
of
wow.
nowhere.
Yeah, so you know, I'm glad that and also I was so I'm always like really really happy to work with genuine people, because that means a lot to me, to have
Yeah.
someone being like, hey, I really want to collaborate with you, please check out my stuff and see if you like it, and let's do something together. Like, when people are that genuine, it's just a pleasure to work with, because the energy is just different. So we worked on Storm and Set Me Free, and those two tracks are more of a melodic dubstep
Yeah.
genre. So as you can see in the album, we already have EDM, we have alternative R&B, and we have melodic dubstep. So for those two tracks, I don't know, they really inspired more of an angrier energy almost.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Storm is
It
all
had,
about, huh?
yeah, it had like an alternative kind of energy,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
an indie rock a little bit,
Yes, it definitely does have some elements of that. So Storm is also one of my favorite tracks of the album, and it's about when you need to learn to love yourself before you can give love to another person, and how even if you love someone, their presence can feel like too much sometimes if you're not ready to love yourself first. For example, in the lyrics, sinks covered in dishes and wishing that you would go home because it's getting late, my love. Don't think I hate you, but I need to learn to love me before. So it's all about that feeling, and comparing the just the racing thoughts and racing anxieties and racing things in my mind to a storm, just waiting for that storm to pass, because I know it will pass, but for now it's raining. So that was the sense of the song.
Well, so when you were given these tracks, did he have a lot of these tracks already kind of constructed, or was there a lot of back and forth?
There was back and forth because he had a lot of material. So, which is a great thing. So, I went through all of it and I told him what kind of vibe I was going for. So, and I actually, Storm and Set Me Free are both of a very similar energy. For example, Set Me Free is more of, running away energy,
Hmm.
and just wanting to be free and feeling trapped. So it's very similar to like Storm in a way, but not. Um, so for Set Me Free, I guess I'll go into that one since, we I'm kind of connecting the two. um, it was more of wanting to be free from something that trapped me in the past. So for example, I'm gonna go into like personal now. I'm from Italy, and when I grew up there, I was like, I left Italy when I was 12, but up until I was 12, I was over there, and I never felt fully accepted because I don't know, I lived in Sicily, so although it's beautiful over there, people aren't as open minded when it comes to, artists and all of that. So I didn't feel like I could express my full potential, and I didn't feel like people believed that I could, make it as a singer. Like, when I was going around at 12 saying I want to be a singer and a dancer and a model in the future, people were pulling me aside, being like, no, you got to think about your future. You got to think about what you actually want to do. So, that was the kind of energy. And since I was young, I was like, no, I'm not buying this. I'm going to go for my dreams. One day I'm going to live in New York, which I did. So that song is really about that, about not being able to stay a single moment where I feel trapped and just like setting myself free.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to like a lot of artists like have a hard time in their hometown.
True. That's very
Yeah,
true.
famous story about Bob Dylan. Like he was from like the Midwest, and his little town he was in is like they weren't into artists at all,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like he couldn't get anywhere there. He said I had to leave. There's a Scorsese documentary where he goes and says like there was no way I was going to make it in my hometown. There's no
Mm-hmm.
way nobody believed in what I was doing. They didn't understand artists, and so yeah, I think that is a common thing I've seen with a lot of artists. If you check out their biographies and history, they never seem to be able to make it
Yeah.
where they're from because the people in their hometown kind of they kind of doubting Thomas and they just like, oh, that's not going to work. So you kind of have to. So it's interesting, like even in a really you know amazing place like Italy, Sicily, you couldn't get people to be behind you. That's interesting because like the
Yeah.
same thing. Somebody from like Iowa, growing up in the
Mhm.
old town or something, wants to be a rock star, and we're like, well, it's not going to work until they get to like somewhere to Los Angeles or something.
Yeah, that's everybody's story. You're right.
Yeah, it's just interesting that you have that dynamic there. I would be, wow, I would have thought, I don't know, I've never been there, but you would think they'd be more open. But you never know, because if it's your hometown, people know you. They kind of like, sometimes your people that know you, like when you're growing up, are the ones that don't like always believe in you.
Yep.
You have to prove to them later, like, well, you prove to yourself, and then it ends up being like it's an after effect thing.
Yeah, so luckily, although this was my situation, I was lucky to have supportive parents, which said, if that's what's going to make you happy, if you want to pursue your artistic talents, then we encourage you to pursue that, whatever that is. So, that's actually like how then I came about moving out so young when I was 12. And because I traveled the world, I've been living by myself basically since I was 12, first in France, and then Monte Carlo, and then the United States, because my parents believed that, whether it was ballet, which I was professional at the time, or whether it was music, which I also started at a young age, they encouraged me to pursue.
Yeah, you have your clothing line as well, which
Yeah.
we always put pitch in for, but yeah. So yeah, those songs are very interesting, and I kind of felt the dynamic that they have that kind of synergy between them because they're coming from the same like beat maker and producer, so you can kind of feel that.
Yeah.
Like if you don't actually look at your the track list and you're just listening, you can kind of see, oh, these songs are kind of coming from the same direction.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. So you got a really interesting feel on the whole record because you've got some kind of like I would describe like dark wave. You got the R&B, you got
Hmm.
the EDM, you got synth wave. You got some really interesting combinations. So it's got a full album feel. Like part of an album, like the classic idea of an album, is you have like a central theme of the fire,
Yeah.
and you keep on like referring to it. Or,
Yeah. And
or
even in Storm, the storm. So that goes back to, fire and rain and all that.
yeah, so the idea that there's fire, the storms and fire, all kind of associated. You're gonna have firestorms. You're gonna have, there's the fire of a relationship. So you can put it into all different types of like, ideas that you can synthesize,
Yeah.
and then you're using synthesizers. So I'm a big synthesizer person. So the idea that you can these synthesizers can kind of project these different feelings in different genres within the electronic music, and you're
Yes.
you're kind of crossing through a lot of them in kind of this electric storm of an album. It's kind of cool. When I look at it that way, but.
Thank you.
So Skin and Bones, that was also interesting because you're kind of talking about like the elemental aspect of people, kind of bringing it down to like, what are you? Are you, that's like your core.
Yeah.
Um, and so maybe you can talk about like your idea for it.
Yes. So this whole album, as I keep referring to, was born last summer, or this past summer that passed. And Skin and Bones, I wrote while I was on a songwriting retreat and workshop in Phoenicia, New York, and it was so inspiring, so relaxing, but also, we worked really, really hard and discovered a lot of things about ourselves, like as songwriters, that Judy Stakey, the main organizer of the workshop, was trying to pull out of us. So I managed to collaborate with two very talented musicians, TC Young and Brandon James. And we sat down. It was actually raining when we created the song, and we started, you know, uh, thinking and jamming. And at the beginning, we were still trying to figure out what direction we wanted to go with it. And then once we got to like the core, so the skin and bones feel of just what that means, really, of what that means to be a human, then that's when, we just started, writing and writing and writing. So that song, I actually also recorded after I experienced a loss of someone I loved very, very much here in New York in September. So I remember after that loss, I rushed to the studio that like a week after when I was done mourning, basically. And that's one of the first songs that I recorded because it was like I just had to dedicate it to her. And so Skin and Bones is really about not only how us humans are broken down in terms of like emotions, but also in terms of um, knowing and recognizing when someone is in your life to teach you something very important, you know? So, and that was her for me. So to really dedicate it to her meant a lot to me and really acts as self-explanatory of the vibe of the song because the song is all about, you know, knowing more about life and about love once someone shows it to you, basically.
Yeah, sometimes you like after somebody significant passing away, you realize like they were kind of like there as a teacher,
Exactly. Yeah.
and you start to remember the lessons, and maybe at the time you didn't realize they were lessons,
Yeah.
but then you come to find out, like now that you don't have that person in your life anymore, you go back and remember like every kind of scene in your collective consciousness, and then you're like, wow, this really meant something, or you pull out the meaning like after you're able to kind of understand what it was really about. Maybe at the time you didn't understand, but now you understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then you have like a remix of this love. So the remix, were you involved with that? You worked with somebody else, or who was that
Well,
your own remix of the?
uh, so I collaborated with a very talented artist called Manny, and we both worked on this remix. He was super talented, so I loved his style. So I was like, please help me like with the remix of this song because it's the main single, and I think that you would do a great job on it, which he did. So this remix is way more emotional than the original song in terms of like vibes and just
Mm-hmm.
it's more mellow, it's more emotional, it feels more like a love song, whereas the main single has more of a like clubby vibe of
Yeah, it's
you
like a
know
dance thing, and then the other song is a little deeper.
yeah, so it would kind of like the way I like to think of these two versions of this love is the main version as the the almost the ecstatic feeling like,
Mm.
oh my god, this is so strong, this love is so strong, this love is so amazing, and I want to sing and dance all about it. And then the remix to me is more like um what I would actually tell the person or how I would actually say it, like if I were face to face to that person, the way I would tell him that I love him, basically.
Well, it's interesting how you bookend the album like that, because then you have one version that has that kind of dance EDM feel, and the last one's more personal.
Yeah.
Feels more personal. Feels like, okay, well now you see how this song can be interpreted in this other way, and
Yeah.
and then you've kind of bookended it. You had the first one, and you have this last one, and then as the album is going, you're getting into some things that you're getting a little heavier in terms of like the personal concepts and ideas and the fire, and between people and the concepts that you have going on. So I think that's really kind of gels it into the album format, which I love, because this is a day and age of singles. So
Hmm.
to have an album that has like a theme and it has this bookended thing, the concept is really cool, because it goes back to the 70s. There used to be, Neil Young used to bookend his albums with
Yeah.
one version of a song, like "Hey Hey My My," and then the other version of it. Then we'd have the acoustic version, and he'd have the hard, Crazy Horse version. And
Yeah.
yeah, so you've got a different kind of way of doing what Neil did.
Yeah. Also, Skin and Bones, I do want to release the acoustic version with my two guitar player friends, TC Young and Brandon James.
Oh wow, that would be dope.
Which is also like you just made me think about that by saying that it's also very beautiful. It's like you said, it's another way of interpreting the song, and very like mellow and just deep because it's all guitar. So
That
that's
would be
something
really cool. Yeah, maybe an extended version of the album would have that, because that I love it when artists do that, because it kind of like, oh, you know, guys like Neil Young used to do that all the time. But yeah, it's like a big thing in the 70s that you would hear a lot of bands doing that, have different, same song, different version, you know.
Yes.
And one would be harder, like maybe it would be acoustic, the other would be really rocked out. And it just gives a different vibe, you know, when you do that. It kind of goes back to like when MTV used to have Unplugged and people used to go on MTV and actually play music.
Oh yeah, I'm so mad that MTV changed. Like before, it was so much better.
Well, I'm a music fan. I don't, man, the real world, if you ask people want to see that, but I want to see a musician actually playing. You know?
Yeah.
I want, like, remember when Kurt Cobain did that Unplugged, and you know, like the Pearl Jam did their Unplugged. There was these big iconic moments when you got to see these bands actually show that they had bones as musicians, you know, and kind of get, you know, raw and emotional. And that's what, when when you do an acoustic performance or you do something with an orchestra like you've been doing, that really is awesome. I would love to see an album with you, what you were doing in Italy, you know, over the holidays. That was really interesting.
Oh,
That would be really cool. But I mean, maybe, I don't know if your audience would be as into it, but
while I was in Italy, I did a jazz performance because also not many people know this about me, but if you go on my social media on YouTube, you can find that contact. I do a lot of jazz, and I love singing jazz covers of pop songs, which, you know, if you go to my YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, if you look through the videos or the links that I shared from YouTube, you can see those performances. So I've been collaborating with the Brass Group, which is a jazz foundation in Palermo, and a very well-known jazz ensemble with Giuseppe Milici, a harmonica player from there. And I did also perform Storm and Smoke Signals among those tracks at some point to, you know, premiere them to the audience. But like, I guess what I'm getting to with this is I love doing acoustic stuff as well. And I do have a jazz side to me that I really want to explore more, that I've been doing. I did it for the second time in a row in Italy, one this summer, and then one on January 6th when I was there for the holidays before I came back. And both times it was super successful. We sold out both venues, and it was a lot of fun and also very beautiful to do, you know, with the jazz musician.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have a soundboard recording of some of your live stuff when you do that. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's a maybe a smaller market for it, but it would be cool to have you do Kendra Black live, you know, like, you know, have a soundboard recording, actually put it out, you know, maybe limited run or something, but it would be, and it just shows your range and what you do. And I think that's really cool. So I always like to see all aspects of an artist, what they do, you know, and you know, running through different genres. Like this album does it within the electronic genre. You kind of showing like all your capabilities, and I think that it's an awesome record. So a lot of people should listen to it. We're going to put the links up on our podcast so everybody will be able to hear it. And, you know, they'll be able to click on it. We can't attach it directly, but
great.
We'll be able to promote it. So,
yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things that we're able to do now, we've got a bigger audience than we used to. We were at 12,300 listeners compared to where we were last year, around under 4,000. So we're starting to get a bigger audience now. So we're hoping to push past 20K this year or even 30. So we're very excited to have artists of your caliber on the show, and we continue to, you know, want to give artists a place to talk. And so that's what we like to do. So anytime you have a project that you want to push, you're always welcome to come back on the show.
Awesome. Yeah, I love you know, our conversations. I feel like they always pull out a lot of things in me, you know, when I like talk about the music and all that.
Yeah, it's really good to have a place to actually have musicians not just talk about their personal life, but actually get into their craft.
Yes.
You know, there's always a place for a reporter to talk to an artist about whatever they're doing personally, but artists want to talk about their art. And so that's why I'd like to be able to give a platform for artists to talk about what they're really, passionate about, and that's their music.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I think, this album is awesome. Are you going to be touring like in the U.S. with this, or going abroad again?
Yes. So I had my release show for the album on February 3rd at Mercury Lounge, and now the next show I'm having is in Texas.
Awesome.
They just confirmed it with me. They just told me yesterday, so I have to go look up when it actually is. I believe it's on March 25th at the South by Southwest Festival.
Oh, that's awesome.
Texas.
Awesome. Oh, are you gonna get filmed?
Yes.
Awesome. I always watch out that whole show.
Yeah. So all the details about that are going to be on my website and social media, obviously. And there's going to be more shows as well. But so far, that is the next one. So that's what I'm preparing for.
That's an awesome one to be on. That's like every musician wants to get on that.
Yeah.
So congratulations, you're on that. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a big deal. So so I'm very happy that we were able to talk again. Your album's awesome. Everybody should go out and stream it and download it and buy it, because that's the way artists get, their appreciation. You shouldn't just try to get everything that you sell or provide out there to have your fans really get into it.
Yeah.
So I always telling people, it's like, you got to remember, musicians need you to hit the download, hit the stream, make sure that the artist knows that you're listening to them.
Yeah.
So we're very happy that you came on the show again, and we're going to push this out tonight. And so we'll send you the links when they're ready, and hopefully we'll talk to you again, and we'll hear how you did that on the South by Southwest performance, because that's going to be really interesting. I probably want to talk to you about that in the future.
Yes, thank you. Looking forward.
Okay, well, thank you for talking to us. Kendra Black and has her new album, The Fire 2019. It's really awesome. Listen to it everywhere. And, do you have a physical version of it that people can
yes.
Find? Yeah.
It will be available on the website very soon. But so far, you can find it everywhere. So iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify. It's also available on Amazon. It's on YouTube, obviously. Well, SoundCloud, obviously. And then, all the music platforms, no matter where you
Tidal too, right? You're on Tidal?
Yes. I believe it is on Tidal. It's absolutely everywhere. So
cool.
It's no matter where you listen to music from, you should be able to find it. Great.
Like, everybody go out there and get it wherever you listen to your music and put it on rotation, because it's great. Keep on. I'm listening to it all day, so I'll be listening.
Oh, amazing.
I've been the last couple of days, but I keep on, going back to Covered in Sin. I keep on listening to that, so I says something about me. But I love it. I love that song. And so I love all the songs, but that one is really kicking for me. But
I'm happy to hear that.
Okay, well, have a good night, and we'll talk to you again. I'm sure this year we'll talk to you again.
Thank you. Talk soon. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is Fam Like the Ghost, and we've got a really cool sponsor, Mother's CBD Oil, at www.motherscbdoil.com. We have all heard the benefits of CBD oil. Fam Like the Ghost got 100% hemp oil from Mother's Apothecary, and I have to say, it's awesome. Benefits of CBD oil help with epilepsy, anxiety, digestion, pain management, and all kinds of health issues. So check out their site here at motherscbdoil.com and check the link on this episode for more information. Thank you.